So, you're having the problem with consistency. Well, I have two questions for you. And these two questions kind of have a big part to do with consistency, okay? Like consistent in your ad account, consistent sales from Facebook ads. This is what we're talking about. I'm not talking about influencers. I'm not talking about Google ads. I'm strictly talking about Facebook ads here. And I've been doing this stuff a long time, right? Like I've had stores that are very inconsistent. Like it'll have a good day and then a bad day and a good day. And then I've also had stores that like they almost never have a good day or a bad day. It's just kind of like, kind of just straight, slow, consistent growth over time. And it never really dips down or up or anything like that. So the two main questions is for one, how many ad sets are active in your account right now that are actually working? And for two, are you consistently adding to your ad account? So these two factors is mainly like, how many ad sets do you have, right? Like it's not about the budgets of your ad sets, and we'll get into that later. It's not about that because you can be spending $1,000 a day and still have the spikes, right? It's not about the budget. It's more about the foundation. And I talk about this a lot. It's kind of like as you're adding to your ad account, you're kind of adding momentum to the account. So you have one winning ad set, and then you have two, and then you have three, and then you have four. But you're kind of building to it. Like it's kind of like compound interest, but for ad sets. It's like every time you find a new winning ad set, it just keeps adding and adding and adding to the optimization, making it better and better. So if you only have 15 or 20 ad sets, you can't really expect consistency. Those stores that I was talking about where they're just kind of like a straight line, they don't really dip up and down like this. They have like a really solid foundation of, 50 to 100 ad sets that are making money, at least a few times a week, getting a few sales a week. Obviously with higher budgets, they're going to be getting more sales, but usually I just do $5 per day budgets. And that's a big factor, like having that big foundation rather than relying on one ad set or 15 ad sets to bring all the revenue, because that's kind of why it's kind of like having multiple streams of income. Like many entrepreneurs, like, the bigger entrepreneurs, they talk about having multiple streams of income and how important it is so that if one of them dies out, like it doesn't matter because you have so many other ones that you're never going to be broke again, right? It's kind of the same thing with ad sets. Once you have so many ad sets, half of them could die out and you're still fine because you still have, 50, 30, 50 ad sets that are still making you money every single day. They're making sales like two or three times a week. You're chilling, right? The amount of ad sets that you have has a huge part to do with consistency. And again, this is mainly because every single ad set individually will have a good day and a bad day and a good day and a bad day. But eventually you just get so many ad sets that, you stop having those good days and bad days because when one ad set has a good day, the other one has a bad day. And then when one ad set has a bad day, the other ones have a good day, and it kind of evens itself out. It's just kind of like having so many that it almost doesn't matter whether you have good or bad days. It kind of just like you kind of just want consistent growth, as time passes on. So that's kind of like the main reason why I'm asking you this question is because most people who aren't consistent, they're not really supposed to be. Like you can't expect consistency when you only have 15 to 20 ad sets that are working. I mean, I've even had people only have two ad sets that are working, and they're wondering why it's not consistent, or like they're wondering why some days they have a sale and some days they don't. Like you can't expect that. And the next question is, are you consistently adding to your ad account? Now, this is what I'm saying. Like in my experience, Facebook puts out whatever you put in. Like if you put a ton of work into your campaigns and you're focusing and you're reading the data, usually it'll kind of go your way either way. Like I don't know if it's kind of the same thing as like in general in business. If you put the work in, you're gonna, it's gonna work for you eventually, right? So that's like my main question to you. And this is kind of like a mindset question is, are you in your ad account every single day? Are you reading the data? Are you trying to improve your game? Are you adding a new ad set? Are you split testing different interests? Are you split testing different posts? Like whatever. And I've seen so many people wonder why they have a $1,500 day and then a $300 day and then a $1,000 day and then another $500 day. And I go into their strategy and I look at their history and their ad account, and they're really not having any daily activity at all. It's kind of sporadic. Like, a few days out of the week, they might go in and make some new ad sets and turn some off. Every single day for me, I'm always making new ad sets and I'm always turning old ones off. I'm always on top of the game. So when it comes to consistency, I expect Facebook ads to be consistent for me, and it usually is. And that's because I'm very consistent with Facebook ads. And that's why I say that in my experience, Facebook puts out whatever you put in because I'm in the ad account every single day. When I'm managing an account or I'm scaling an account, you never miss a day. Like you can't just sit back and just be like, oh, I'm gonna relax today and not do my ads or not do customer service, because everything starts falling apart slowly. And this is kind of why I've only done Facebook ads and I haven't drifted my focus off into Forex or drifted my focus off into, whatever it is I'm doing. I strictly do Facebook ads, whether I'm teaching it, I'm running it for my brand, or I'm running it for an e-commerce store, I'm managing accounts. It doesn't matter. Like every stream of income that I have control over is strictly Facebook ads because I chose to focus in on it and master it and become consistent with it. And that's kind of how I got so good at it, is because every single ad account that I'm in there every day, reading data, making ad sets, split testing, turning things off. I'm just making consistent actions every single day. And this is kind of what Grant Cardone talks about, where like, mastery is literally just doing the same thing over and over and over again until you learn, like if you go left, it doesn't work. If you go right, it works. But there's another path off of that right path, and you have to go left once to know that that left might work, and then the right doesn't work. Like it's kind of hard to explain. But if you're in there every single day, things will get better for you, and you should be adding on to the consistency. After being in there every day for so long, you start building out such a huge foundation of ad sets that are working just because you keep split testing. And then you also lose less money because you're killing off ad sets that have died out or ad sets that aren't working. And this is kind of part of the reason why I tell people you should be making one new ad set every day, like minimum in your ad account, because I want you in the ad account every single day. Like it doesn't matter if adding one a day works or not, which by the way it does. I wouldn't tell people to do it. But like the biggest benefit of that is showing you how important it is to like get off of your ass and do something over and over and over and over again and read the data and learn about what you're doing. And I just want to say, like, you need to learn consistency for yourself before you can expect it from anything else. And it's the truth in literally any business that if you're not being consistent in your actions, it's not going to provide consistency back. And there's also a couple other things that I would like to mention before cutting off this video here. And that's cold traffic is not as consistent as lookalikes. Just in my experience, I know that I've had some stores where cold traffic is more consistent than lookalikes. But just kind of looking from a macro, I see that once a store starts doing lookalikes and you start building out your lookalike foundation and you start getting winning ad sets that are lookalikes, you start to see like, a certain amount of sales every single day, especially once you start adding upon that. And I think lookalikes are a big part of that because it's kind of like double optimization as opposed to cold traffic, which is just or not cold traffic, but interest targeting, which is just kind of like Facebook trying to optimize for purchases. It doesn't really matter why it happens. The only thing that matters is I notice that it does happen. So if you're not like seeing full consistency, like if you are consistent, if you have a ton of ad sets and it's just cold traffic and you're still seeing those little spikes, you might want to look into getting into lookalikes because it might be able to kind of like keep it more consistent. One more thing is higher margin products are a little bit less consistent, like especially in the first month or so. You're not going to expect, a sale every single day on a $250 product in your first week. Okay, unless your budgets are like super duper high and it's selling really good, of course. But what I'm saying is higher margins, like you don't need, 100 sales every single day to be profitable. You can literally have 10 sales every other day and still be doing fine and making, 100, $200 a day if you average it out over the week. So just, you might have a couple days. Like I had a couple stores where it would do really, really well on the weekends and it would make like 5 or 6 grand profit in the weekends and then maybe only like 50 to $100 a day during the week. So it was averaging like 500 to 600 a day profit, but mainly because of the weekends. Now this is fine because this is why I tell you don't look at daily sales. Like if you have a bad day, don't freak out and start turning things off. This is why I look over the last 7 days. If you've seen my video on how I analyze an ad account and figure out what ad sets to turn off, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you check it out. But yeah, you kind of want to look over the last 7 days. You don't want to just look at today and yesterday and the day before that. You want to look at how it's averaging out. Some stores are just impossible to get consistent. Like it doesn't matter how many ad sets you have. It doesn't matter any of that. It's just inconsistent. But the point is it averages out pretty consistently. Like if it's going to make 500 to $600 a day on average over 7 days, it's usually going to average that every single week. And the last thing is your budgets do not have that much to do with consistency. You might think that like, oh, if you're doing pretty consistent with a $5 a day budget, it'll be super consistent with $1,000 a day budget, right? Because it's going to be spending like 100 times more or 200 times more or whatever. But it doesn't work like that. If it was that simple, trust me, I would be doing it. And the reason I say that is because it's not as simple as just spending more and getting more in return. You got to deal with optimization. You got to deal with what ad sets are going to work, what aren't going to work. You got to deal with ad sets having good days and bad days. If you're spending $1,000 a day on one ad set, you might have a really good day, but if you have a really bad day, you just lost $1,000. And if that really good day didn't make you more than $1,000, then on average you're actually losing money on that ad set. So it's not like super important to just think that, oh, if it's not consistent, I'm just not spending enough, because that's really not what it is to me. But that was it for this video, guys. If you got good value out of this, leave a like, leave a subscribe. I really appreciate it, every single one of you who do. But this is Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.